welcome to another episode of Insufficient Friends. I'm Kevin. She's Nikki.
Hi.
And Nick, happy Memorial Day tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's
For most people, it's a fun weekend, and I definitely remember the original purpose of the holiday too, honoring those that have fallen.
Honoring those who have fallen for fighting for our country, which we do, thank everybody who chooses to risk their lives in
and serve
protection of our freedom. Sure. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Are you doing anything for Memorial Day weekend?
Because
do you have the Monday off?
I took the Monday off. So I always take
I have the Monday off.
Yeah, so. I always take the weekend off because Sunday, so today, or when you're watching this today, obviously it's not today because it comes out at 7 a.m. But, so that is like a really big day for racing. And me and my dad are big racing fans. And it is, so in the morning is Formula One Monaco. Yeah. So one of the biggest races of the year at Monaco, or one of the most infamous races of the years, I guess. Or famous, well-known, whatever. And then after that, you have the Indy 500. Okay. And then after that, you have the Coca-Cola 600. So you have Formula One, Indy, and then NASCAR. So it's basically from like 6 or 7 a.m. to like 10 o'clock at night. It's nonstop racing for the most part. So it's a big day for that, which is we enjoy.
So do you like watch it on TV?
Yeah, we've watched it ever since I was a little kid. Which we would watch all the NASCAR races on Sundays. This is just one that we've always done is like these three. Because it's just a big day for them. The Indy 500 is a huge thing. This year is the 100 and something. 150th, 140th, something like that. It's a lot of. They've been doing it for a long time.
This is gonna sound so bad and so naive, or I don't know the right word, but when you say words like Indy and things like that, like racing things, I'm like, okay, I knew that word NASCAR.
NASCAR?
That's the only word in that couple sentences that you said that I do.
Well, okay. So IndyCar is just an open wheeled car. It's just not a stock car like a NASCAR. Okay. And Formula One's kind of like an Indy car.
Yeah, I don't know what Formula One is.
Formula One is just it's more worldwide. It's they race all around the world and not just in the US. IndyCar is mostly just in the US. So IndyCar and Formula One are a lot alike. There's differences in the cars and things, of course. Yeah. But,
the only thing I've seen as far as racing is those compilation videos of the ones that like go through the forest and stuff and then crash.
Oh, the rally races? Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, that's all I've seen.
It amazes me that people stand like right along the track for those.
Okay, that's what is so weird about it.
I don't get it. Like and people will like stand in the road and watch for it to come and then jump out of the way. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're just asking to die.
They just need that. Serotonin or whatever?
Yeah, they need that adrenaline rush. Yeah,
adrenaline.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I could.
I used to have a racing game on one of the consoles. I don't remember which one it was.
Yeah, I had the steering wheel.
Probably I have one of those. Yeah. But they had rally races like that on it, and you could like. It actually had the people like standing in the middle and like moving out of the way as you're driving down the track, and it's like this is weird.
I always had Midnight Club, and that's the one I had the wheel for, and then I had Disney Racing, like the 1996 Disney Racing, the OG. Okay, so good. Nathan and I played that a lot growing up, and then the songs would get stuck in your head. Yeah. It was the most annoying thing.
So I had Mario Kart. Okay. I did not have Disney.
I have that now. Yeah. I don't think I really had that growing up.
I did because I had Mario Kart on the N64, the Nintendo 64, and a few other things. And then I had a steering wheel for the N64 too for some racing game. I don't remember what it was. And then I played a lot of Gran Turismo when I was on the PlayStation when I got that, and I still have one of the steering wheels for that. But I haven't turned it on or plugged it in or anything in a long time. So
yeah, nowadays I don't really play any racing games. Yeah, we play Mario Kart when our friends come over and like on the Switch. Yeah, because I have the Switch that you can play on the TV too. Yeah. So we do play that nowadays, but I didn't play it growing up. I play it now.
Yeah. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. The Switch is an interesting console because you can like use it.
Yeah, I can lay on the couch and play Animal Crossing.
Yeah,
but we can also entertain and play stuff on the big screen,
which is cool. Like it's just kind of a cool, it's a cool system.
Yeah.
It's different too than most other ones, so that's fun. But anyway, if you're new here, we talk about welcome. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. And then, unsubscribe and then subscribe again, because just boost the numbers, however you do it, whatever, I don't care. Anyway, this week we're talking about the Titanic. Because it's interesting. Yeah,
literally that's why we talk about the things we talk about. And I mean, it's just so random. So this one, I've always been interested in it, of course, like I've been to the museum and stuff, but you for sure have always been really interested in it too.
So yeah, it's just...
What started that?
I don't know. Because I saw the movie a long time ago.
Yeah.
But, and I don't know, there's just something about like...
Big tragedies this.
It's just a big tragedy. Like,
I think I remember...
and the fact that it's just sitting at the bottom of the ocean. I think that's probably what it was. Is I saw at some point I saw pictures of it sitting at the bottom of the ocean, and
yes,
it's
I did
just
too in a book.
Amazing looking.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's just cool.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I remember I had a book that was like, it wasn't the 7 wonders of the world. It was just like different wonders of the world or something like that. So it was like. It was things like the pyramids and things like that too, but also like the Titanic and things like that as well that aren't like wonders of the world but are fascinating. And it also had things like the Roanoke colony, which I think we've talked about before, like mysteries and things too. And not that the Titanic was a mystery why it went down, but so I think that's when it started. Was I just read from a young age all that type of stuff. I was just always fascinated with all of it.
Yeah,
with this one especially.
Yeah, and it's just, it's also just a random... There's just so much that went into it, and the fact that so many people died. It sank on its maiden voyage. Like, never had people on it before, and the first time it goes out to sea, it just decides to...
And I know there's a lot of conspiracies.
There are a lot of conspiracies around what happened. And it's just also part of pop culture just in general, because
especially with the movie,
it was turned into a movie in the 90s, so that was, and it was a blockbuster film too, so that also made a big thing with it. But
just crazy.
Anyway, the Titanic, RMS Titanic specifically,
which is Royal Mail
Ship, I believe. Yeah,
because I think it had a bunch of mail and packages on it.
Oh, I'm sure, because that's
R.I.P. to the packages.
How you got things from place to place back then. Cause
this was by ship. Yep.
This would have been before airplanes were really common.
Yeah.
I don't remember when the Wright brothers made their first flight. So there may have been an airplane, but it wasn't like what we have now to get stuff from place to place.
Yeah, because this was 1912.
It sank in April.
Well, when it sank.
It sank April 15th of 1912. So just like a couple months ago was the anniversary of that. What is that, like 112 years? Yeah, 112 years. Just a couple months ago, or like a month ago.
Yeah.
It was sailing from Southampton, England to New York, with around 2,200 passengers and crew. More than half of those died.
Yeah.
1,500 people died. There's a lot of different thoughts on that. It was partly because people didn't
prepare for it.
Well, not that they didn't prepare, they didn't believe that it was actually a threat.
Yeah.
So people didn't believe that it was actually a threat, which means the lifeboats weren't filled to capacity when they were being launched. So that was a problem. There also weren't actually enough lifeboats for everybody, which has always been a big thing.
Because there weren't, of course, the regulations and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they didn't want it to look bad because it's a beautiful ship and they don't want it to look bad. So, regulations changed after that. It was the largest ship in the world when it set sail for the first time. And it also had like very high class, first class accommodation.
Yeah, I do love looking at like the original pictures and then even recreation pictures. It's just like so ornate.
Oh, it's
so
beautiful.
Ornate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, cruise ships now can be too. They can be a little, because they try to make them modern, so they're not quite the same. It's a different.
It's not like
it's a different
Victorian
beautiful.
elegance type of vibe.
It's a different beautiful. Also, ships nowadays are flippin' massive compared to this thing. Like, this thing was big when it was built.
Yeah, but nowadays it's so crazy.
Yeah, I know you've got some by the numbers that we'll go over here in a minute, but I want to see.
Yeah, I found a lot of the numbers in like ticket prices, salaries, things like that.
So I want to check the largest cruise ship in the world right here. So Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas is currently the largest cruise ship in the world, weighing in at 248,000 tons. And a little over 1,000 feet long. That's not right. Google did this number weird because it says 1,1967 feet, which is not a number. Hold on. Icon of the Seas. Let's just go to Royal Caribbean's website and see if we can find it on here. But anyway,
the Titanic was like 52,000 tons, right?
No, gross tonnage was only 46.
Oh, 46.
Yeah.
Okay.
So much smaller.
When it was fully loaded, it says.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it was only 800 feet long, which is, it was almost 900 feet long, I guess. But, I mean, compared to, like I said, 1,000 more than 1,000 foot long ship, like that's not. There's pictures of it next to other ships and like what it would be compared to them now, and it just is dwarfed by everything nowadays.
Yeah. Crazy.
It had two sister ships, I think. The Britannic and the Olympic.
Yep.
There are, of course, conspiracy theories about the fact that it wasn't the actual one that actually sank.
Those are the most popular ones I've heard.
That it was one of the other ones for the insurance money.
I think it's the Olympic, right? That I hear most the Olympic, is the conspiracy
which
theory.
I believe the Britannic sank as well.
Yeah, but I've seen that a lot. Like,
but
that
yeah,
was
the
a
Olympic
conspiracy
was
theory, and they
the
just did
conspiracy
that
theory is that the Olympic sank, and the Olympic actually sank, but they traded it out to say that it was the Titanic to make it get more insurance money. But I don't see. Conspiracy theories are weird to me.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna,
because they're stretched a lot of times.
Yeah, I'm gonna go off on a tangent here for a second. Because my thing is if they're in the same class, are you really gonna get that much more insurance money for the Titanic versus the Olympic when it's basically the same ship? And so that's why
I'm like, is there something else to this, the theory that I just missed and didn't understand? But
I don't know. And that's the thing. I don't know.
Or was it truly just, this was not, it was a terrible situation. They were not prepared and it was not handled.
So more of what's actually been agreed, not by conspiracy theorists, but agreed that what happened was there was a fire on the ship, which had been burning for days before it even left port in Southampton. There's pictures that you can see of it from back in the day where you can see black, like soot on the outside of the ship from smoke.
Oh, really?
Smoke getting out of a porthole.
And they didn't know this?
So there's theories that it was like they may have known it and just not been able to fix it.
Yeah.
Or didn't think that it was as bad as what it was because it was in one of the coal storages is what I believe, if I remember correctly, is where it was. And basically, if you have a fire burning against iron, it's gonna weaken it, and it's and it's gonna destroy things. Also, another one of the problems was the guy who was supposed to be one of the lookouts, the main lookout, was sick and couldn't make it on the ship, and he had the key to the cabinet with the binoculars. So they didn't have binoculars.
Are you kidding? I did not know that.
Yes, they did not have binoculars the night that they hit the iceberg.
Oh my gosh.
So they were relying on line of sight at night. That was an issue. So by the time they saw it, of course, it's
too late to change course.
It. Different things about how the ship, it doesn't have the right size. I've heard that it didn't have the right size rudder for what size ship it should have been, and stuff like that. Also, the ship was, and a lot of this is actually talked about in the movie, The Titanic. Like they make comments about a lot of this. They make comments about the binoculars.
That in so long. Yeah.
Another one is the captain was. The captain and a lot of people on board were pushing the ship to get to New York as fast as possible. So it was speeding.
Yeah.
Which is, you're out in the middle of the ocean, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But you're speeding along to try to, make it even more impressive that look at how fast we made it across the ocean.
Yeah, that's true. Because they had to,
you can't slow down and maneuver quite as fast because you're going
faster than you're supposed to. Yeah.
And that was part of it. And then what was the other one? There was another thing with it too. There was warnings too that there were icebergs in the area. Like that had been seen.
I saw a cool map
area.
Of
but they were
where
ignored.
They were warned that there were icebergs and where they actually crashed. And it was kind of far apart.
Yeah, but they kind of ignored, too, the idea that there could be icebergs in the area.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of things that went into the fact that so many people died and that it sank. And so it is a tragedy.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah,
okay, so I found this map again. So it has from where they left Southampton. They stopped in Cherbourg and then Queenstown, and then started off on the big part of the journey. And it was like a third of the way through that they got the iceberg warnings, and then it was another third of the way that it actually wrecked.
Yeah.
So they still had a third of the way to go.
Yeah. So they were on the second half of the trip. Yeah. When they obviously crashed. And it took years too to find the wreckage, which is like.
Yeah.
Like it not even like years. It took,
which is weird to me because there was a rescue ship, right?
There was a rescue ship really nearby that did not respond, and I don't remember the story of why it didn't respond. But there was another one that was responded kind of the next morning and then looked for people, and by that point so many people were dead
or frozen to death. Yeah,
frozen to death because it's just I went to the Titanic Museum in Branson, which I know you said you went to too.
Yes.
And me and my dad both had fun with this. There's a bucket of water.
Yeah, you stick your hand in.
Stick your hand in it.
It was cold.
And it is the same temperature of as the water was that night, which is below freezing because it's salt water. So it got I think it was like 26 or 28 degrees. So there's a timer on the bucket that has like a minute.
Yeah.
Because you're not supposed to leave your hand in there that long. But me and my dad are stupid.
And you tried to who could hold it the longest.
We decided to see who could hold it the longest. And I think I left it in there for like 2.5 minutes. And I took my hand out and I couldn't it was like couldn't 5 minutes before I could move it again because it was like frozen in this position. And I'm just like,
I think I was good. Oh yeah, that's cold.
Yeah.
Done. That was so every time, I think I've been there 3 times, and we talked about this a little bit when my dad was on. It's always been usually with my dad, one time with my aunt. And every single time, so you get like a passenger card, and at the end, you get to see if you lived or died.
Yeah.
Every single time I've survived, and every single time everyone else that's with me has died. So it's
how
become
have you
like
survived
a joke.
Every time?
I don't know. So like one time I was Molly Brown.
Okay.
Who's famous for surviving. And I don't remember who I was, but it was always women and usually second or first class.
Well, that makes sense because everybody in third class.
So it's like totally random, the people you get. But
yeah. Most of third class died. So
yeah. And a lot of second too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm trying
and even a lot of first. This is what always got me is, so it's always said like a lot of the majority dead were crew and third class.
Yep.
But many of the most prominent people of this time died. So Isidore and Ida Strauss, which I think they were the ones who created Macy's.
Okay.
I think that's them. John Jacob Astor, which the Astor family, I mean, everyone knows them if you know history of that time. So just like such crazy people that passed away, and it's so, I mean, it's everyone that passed away is a sad story, but it's like, I know John Jacob Astor, like I think he was on his second wife and she was pregnant and I think she survived, but it's just like the stories are just insane.
And that's also one of the other theories, like conspiracy theories about the wreckage is that it was planned by
someone who wanted to take these like wealthy people down.
I think it was J.P. Morgan. Because he was, if I remember correctly, he was supposed to be on that ship.
Yes.
And he wasn't. He changed his plans late.
I do remember reading, there was someone wealthy like him that had
there was a lot of very, like, basically competition on this ship because everybody famous is going to be on this ship.
Yeah.
So the fact that he survived and everybody else died was like, oh, well, it was planned by him and all that. And it's like, well...
That's one of the conspiracy theories that you're like, oh, but then also it doesn't make sense at the same time.
Yeah.
That's a lot of planning for one wealthy guy to do. But you never know. I mean, wealthy people run the world now, so who knows?
True.
But
it's just one of my big things with conspiracy theories though is like a lot of them there's most of them, there's so many things that have to happen that it's hard to imagine all of them happening together, one. And two, that at some point somebody wouldn't have slipped and said something.
Yeah.
Because you've got this many people involved.
Yeah,
somebody's going to squeal somewhere. And you're going to find out what happened. I'm trying to figure out when they found the ship. Because I don't remember.
While you're looking at that, I have a little section that I read here on the different investigations. So the British investigated and the U.S. investigated. One of the biggest parts of the U.S. investigation that people scrutinized was what you had just talked about. The Californian was the ship that was closest to the Titanic. Only 20 nautical miles, 37 kilometers. I don't really know how far that is. But it seems pretty close. And the crew members said they saw a ship, but thought it was too small to be the Titanic. They also stated in their testimony in the U.S. inquiry, because it was like a senator that ran it, they said they thought it was still moving, and that they had tried to contact it by Morse code with a lamp, and were unsuccessful, so they assumed nothing was wrong, which if you are unsuccessful, I would assume something is wrong, but maybe that's not how it works.
Well, it's Morse code, so you're also trying to, nobody may have saw it or something, you also don't know.
So
there was also, if I remember, and it may not say on there, but I'm not talking into the mic, which is a problem. Sorry, podcast audience. I remember somebody saying at one point that it would, even if the California would have responded, there was no way it was big enough to hold the passengers from the Titanic, because obviously the Titanic again was the largest ship ever. So
the U.S. Investigation ended up faulting the British Board of Trade, basically blaming it on lax regulations and health regulations and things like that. The senator's quote is, to whom the British Board of Trade, to whose laxity of regulation and hasty inspection, the world is largely indebted for this awful fatality. So that's how the U.S. inquiry into this
blaming the British. That sounds about right.
Right. So it doesn't really say what the British
inquiry found.
Yeah.
Okay. I know there was tons of investigations.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like the British kind of blamed the Californian. They claimed that the Californian could have saved a lot of lives.
Yeah, but that still doesn't prevent the ship from sinking. So.
Exactly. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I found it. So there was a lot of expeditions that went to try to find it. It wasn't until September 1st of 1985 that a French-American team was able to find the ship.
Wow, that's way later.
Yeah. So I knew it was a long time afterwards. Because, that's like, 1985, it was 12, so that's 73 years that it was before they found it.
Which makes sense because there was not technology to find that. then.
No.
At the bottom of the ocean.
No.
Yeah.
And because it's not.
Because I think was it the remote operated vehicle that found it first?
No, it was I
was it
believe it was a
actual
crude, like a small small sub.
Because I know I've seen in like
I don't know that you'd have like that.
Yeah.
The 80s was a long time ago. Like I'm sure they had remote controlled things, but I don't know if they had anything that advanced to go down. Because you got to think it's almost actually it's over 2 miles down.
Yeah.
Like, it's a long ways down.
I think the pictures I'm thinking of are much more recent. They were like National Geographic or something where they'd sent the remote operated vehicle down and the pictures are so much clearer.
Yeah.
And that's what's like stuck in my head.
They just recently took more pictures or released more footage of the ship. Yeah, just like maybe last year or something, last couple of years.
Oh, I haven't looked at them. It'd be interesting to see the state of decay.
Yeah. It is going downhill, of course, because it's salt water. So I don't. Again, I haven't read through a lot of this, so I don't remember. I know there was a big thing at the beginning that they couldn't find the back half of the ship.
Because it split and then
split, and the back half kind of
it drifted pretty far apart. Yeah,
they drifted pretty far apart. And if I remember correctly, the front half is kind of on like close to a ridge that the back half could have fallen down into, which is I don't know if they eventually found it or not. But I actually have I've talked about this before. I actually have a piece of coal from the Titanic that was brought up on an expedition in the 90s.
Which is so cool.
I don't think they can do that anymore.
Yeah,
the Titanic,
not.
They changed a lot of the rules for it because, of course, people were like scrapping it kind of, even though it's 2 miles down. Still, people were kind of doing it.
Well, you've got the people who died recently trying to go down and see it. I'm sure there were a lot of voyages down there once they had the technology to do it.
Yeah. So it is a historic site.
Yeah.
So I don't know that you're allowed to remove anything from it anymore.
Oh, I'm sure not.
I don't remember, but so I could be wrong on that. So don't quote me on that.
Don't quote us on a lot of things we say.
Don't quote us on a lot of things. But yeah, it is. It would be something really cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be. It's just.
But.
Well, obviously, after the recent explosion of the or implosion of the
Titan sub.
Yeah. Titan. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with seeing pictures after that.
Yeah.
Now, does curiosity get the best of me? Of course. Like anything like this, but
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, you know, I've told people this before. I would love to go see it.
Yeah.
The Titan sub, from what I've heard, it was a very
had its own issues.
Everything that has been said about it was kind of shoddy in the first place. Like there was a lot of people that heard problems with, like you could hear cracking when it went down there anyway, because it did a couple dives down there. And that's not how if I was to do it, and this is the comment I've told people before, because they're like, what would you like, if you could do anything with any amount of money, what would you do? One of the things that I would want to do is go see the Titanic.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to get down there, but there's one way that I think I could do it. And it is, if I've got unlimited funds.
Yeah.
If I won, $500 billion or something like that.
Yeah.
If I become Bezos rich.
If you become Taylor Swift.
Yeah. If I become Taylor Swift or Bezos rich or something like that. You go to one of these companies, not companies, one of these nonprofits that does the dives, that does the research and stuff like that, and say, okay, how much does it cost for you to go to Titanic? This is what I would do. How much does it cost for you to go to Titanic? Okay, here's double. Can I go?
Yeah.
I just want to see it. That's it. I don't want to take anything. I just want to go see it.
A nonprofit that has more safety regulations.
Yeah, like a nonprofit who has done this several times, because there are several groups that have done this.
It was really sad to see the people that were in that Titan sub that passed away, like the billionaire and the son and
yeah. I mean, that was a crazy.
It's just as sad as reading these stories of the people who passed in the Titanic, which is like, it's kind of ironic, or I don't know if ironic is the right word, but that the people going down there also well, they imploded, not sank, but sank.
they died trying to see it.
Yeah.
The one, and I know this isn't a consolation, not that anybody that has anybody loved ones on this is actually listening to this, because there's only 3 of you that listen to this. Or if there's that many. But if it's any consolation, those people didn't know what happened.
Yeah, that's true, because it was so quick.
It would have been so fast.
Yeah.
Because when you go down.
Yeah, I was reading the pressure that far down. It's less than a split second. Like your brain, the amount of time your brain takes to process something like that versus how fast it happened, they wouldn't have.
Because when you're on Earth, like when you're at sea level, you're at 1 atmosphere. That's the level of pressure that you have is 1 atmosphere.
Yeah.
So if you go into space, it's 0. That's it. So it's 1 to 0.
Yeah.
But it's something like every 10 feet you go down, it's another atmosphere.
Yeah.
So it combines, because you have all the way to the ocean pressing down on you.
Yeah.
So when you go down that far, it's harder to go down into the ocean like that than it is to go into space.
It's so crazy to think how animals have evolved to survive down there.
Oh, yeah.
I know there's a certain level where there's not much of anything. But even, some of the fish and the...
But there are crustaceans. Well, that's also why they that's also part of the scientific belief on why the megalodon was so big and things like that, is because it wouldn't be able to survive if it was smaller, possibly, because
that's true.
It's so much pressure on something small. It's going to need a larger structure to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is.
Never even thought about that.
Yeah, because it is crazy how some of those things, and also if you look at some of them in I don't remember if you can see pictures of it, but I've heard, I'm pretty sure you can find pictures of it somewhere. But the animals and fish and life forms down there, you see pictures of them down there and then here, and they look entirely different because there's so much pressure on them that their body changes shape depending on where they're at.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It is. Yeah. It just, natural history, that type of thing has always been crazy, evolution and different species, and very interesting. But I was trying to think if I had any... Oh, I was going to do the Titanic by the numbers.
Yeah, by the numbers.
So the construction cost was 1.5 million pounds then, which is around 170 million pounds in today's money.
Which is not that much money.
Yeah, it'd probably be $200 million because the pound is trending down.
Yeah, but still, that's $200 million does not seem like that much money for a cruise ship.
Yeah, for a corporation. Took around 3 years to build. The wages, this was interesting to me. The wages on board varied greatly, obviously, depending on the position and what crew you were on. So Captain Smith earned 105 pounds per month, which would be around 11,000 pounds today. So he's making a good living.
11,000 pounds a month? Yeah,
$13,000 a month.
That's 100 and...
Yeah, that's 12.
That's $160,000 a year. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good to be a ship captain. Whereas, but the stewardesses and people who are lower earned £3 10 shillings per month, so only around 375 pounds a month in today's dollars, which is way less.
Yeah,
you can live on that with current inflation. 375 to probably around $400 a month.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that is so far below the
poverty line. Which were a lot cheaper back then. So that's, and I'm sure that wasn't all. I'm sure that wasn't also a great wage for some people, but this was also when 1912. You could buy a 3 candy bars for a penny. So it's
true. Yeah. It's just inflation is crazy, but so that's kind of the cost side of things, and then of the construction and crew, and then as far as ticket prices, because I thought about when we talk about the quiz we did today, and when it said would you be first class, second class, or third class, I was like, well, it really depends on the price, and so I looked at the prices. So third class hovers between $800 and $1,000 per ticket. Second,
which is a lot of, today's money or back then.
And that's today's money. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I converted it to today's money.
That's not
second
terrible then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then second class was 1,500 to 2,000 ish. And then first class was like 3,300 up to like, I mean, those massive parlor suites were, it didn't even have a price
tens
on
of
them.
thousands of dollars. Yeah.
Yeah. So, because first class range so varied, like a first class room versus the suite versus the parlor.
Yeah.
So that one varied a lot.
Which is the same thing on cruise ships now. Like you can buy a suite now, and then they have like the master suite.
Yes.
And
so it's like different tiers.
Yeah, there's different like.
Because when you go to the Branson Museum, when you walk up the grand staircase to the right, it shows like what a parlor looked like. Oh my gosh, it was massive.
They're beautiful.
Because I think the one they showed was the one that a recreation of the one the Astors were in, I believe.
Yeah. And they're beautiful.
Oh, gorgeous.
Very ornate.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
It's like a mansion in a ship. Yeah. So that was like the ticket prices. And then the last kind of numbers thing I have was, we already kind of covered it, but so there were 2,200 people on board, and 900 of those were crew and 1,300 were passengers, which I feel like I've seen this number before, but 900 crew, that's massive.
Oh, yeah.
So
Takes a lot of people to run a ship.
But then also it said the ship wasn't full. It could have had another 1,100 people on it, which I didn't know. I don't think I ever read that stat in the museum.
I didn't realize that either, I guess. Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. So think of if the ship had been full.
Oh, you would have had so many people die.
Yeah, it would have been double.
Yeah, pretty much, because you could almost fit another full. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it would have been close. Yeah, that's crazy.
So crazy.
Yeah, it is. It was obviously an amazing ship for its time, especially.
Yeah.
And very beautiful, and I know this sounds weird, but it's almost as beautiful sitting at the bottom of the ocean. Like, it is a different type of, it's like an eerie beauty.
Yes.
But it is like the decaying of it is still beautiful down there. It's very tragic that everybody died, obviously.
Well, yeah.
But it is something that will fascinate people, I think, for years forever, because it's just,
it will be sad when the decay is so much that you can't get good pictures anymore. So, but still, like I said, those pictures from, I think it was National Geographic, maybe it was someone else, but they came out in like the early 2000s, and those, I remember, they really stick in my head, because it really is like, you're like, wow.
Well, I think one of the first pictures that I saw that I every time I think of it, I still see this picture, is it's a little tiny sub that you see in the picture shining a light on the bow of the ship.
Oh, yep, I've seen that one.
And it's just of course, this sub is tiny compared to the Titanic, and it's just shining a light, and you can just, because it's so dark, but you can just see the like ship in the darkness sitting there, and this little tiny sub sitting right over it.
I've seen that picture too.
And they
it's
took
crazy.
The picture from like way over here, so you can see this whole thing, and it's just it's a cool looking picture.
Yeah.
And it's just, it is.
It's haunting to look at, like the staircase, then and now, and things like that. Yeah. I do like when people put like side by sides of like, this was this area before, and this now what it looks like at the bottom of the ocean. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, we did another BuzzFeed quiz.
Yes.
Because we love the BuzzFeed quizzes.
Yeah.
And this one was, would you die? Would you survive?
Yes.
Right?
Would you survive?
Okay.
Which at the museum I always did.
Yeah. So I have a comment on the BuzzFeed quizzes in general with this one. But first, let's go. Who did you survive?
No, I did not.
Okay.
So I had chosen that I was going to be second class, because I was like, realistically, I think that's where I would fall.
I did the same thing.
$2,000 a ticket. Like, I felt like that was doable. I mean, that's probably what we paid for flights to Europe. So I'm like, okay, that's probably realistic. And then I also chose, I was like, you know what did me in? It asked you to pick your favorite season, and I chose winter. And then it says, you froze to death.
That's what mine says, too. You froze to death.
Yeah.
You weren't able to get into a lifeboat and froze in the cold waters.
Yeah.
Which I'm guessing is like, I would say there's very few that don't. I chose second class, too, for that same reason.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's probably practical.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that if you choose third class, you're more likely to not get frozen, to not freeze.
Maybe,
to death.
yeah.
But this is one of the things that I thought about when I was taking this BuzzFeed quiz specifically, is some of the randomness with it.
I know.
I'm like, okay, like I
The questions are like, do you prefer this color or this color?
Yeah,
well, you froze to death.
So that was one of the ones with like when we did the Taylor Swift one for the movie, for the Eras Tour thing on Wednesday. Go back and watch that too after this. After this. Like and subscribe. Yeah. Anyway, when we did that, it was like, what's your favorite color? And it gave you like a list of 5 colors, and it's like, okay, well, obviously, if I pick red, you're going to put that point towards red. Like, and I'm sure that different ones are weighted differently. But the first question on the Titanic one was, what class would you be in? And I'm like, I don't really know. So, I mean, I want to be in first class.
Yeah.
But I probably can't afford it.
Yeah.
So,
I chose realistically.
Yeah, I chose realistically. I'm like, probably second class. But I'm just like, I mean, that first question is going to weigh up or down your chance of surviving because
So I did
many
go
people
through and
from the other
take it
ones
again.
died.
I put second class, but then I chose summer, and I don't remember if I changed anything else because there were like 7 questions.
Yeah.
And I survived. So I was like, I think it's the winter that did me, and it just said winter. Oh, you're dead.
Cold, you died. Yep,
yeah,
that's it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
do you
this
have
thing
anything else on the Titanic?
I don't think so. I think it's time for fun facts. Yeah. This thing had a ton of stuff on it too, like cafes, gyms, swimming pools, everything. It's just crazy.
That is crazy.
Anyway, fact. What's your fact for this week?
Okay, so it has nothing to do with the Titanic.
Of course it doesn't.
You're going to think it's so stupid.
Probably not, but you know.
It's a secret society, the Order of the Pug. So
never heard
literally
about this one.
0 things to do with the Titanic.
Okay. I mean, you don't know. There may have been pugs on the ship.
Maybe, yeah. There were dogs on the Titanic. I saw that was one of the exhibits, and it made me cry. Shocker.
Yeah,
Literally shocking.
That's not surprising.
So Roman Catholics, also shocking. They do everything that's weird and wacky. Roman Catholics in Bavaria. I can say that I'm a Catholic. Don't hate anything. So Roman Catholics in Bavaria founded a secret society in 1740 called the Order of the Pug. New members, and I looked this up. This is actually true. This is not just something I was like, oh, that's cool. It might be true. New members had to wear dog collars and scratch at the door to get in. The Paramasonic Society was reportedly active until 1902. That's 120. Wait, no. 160-ish years of people wearing dog collars and scratching at a door to get into a secret society.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Why are people weird?
I know.
We like weird people. We're weird people.
Oh,
Not that weird, but we're weird people.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to like wear a dog collar and scratch the door, but.
No. I mean, if you want to wear a dog collar, more power to you. But, you know, the scratching the door is a little weird. You know, like,
yeah.
I'm not going to take a leak on a fire hydrant out in the middle of nowhere either. So, anyway.
Yeah. What's your fun fact?
So I always like the fun facts that have to do with our thing.
I know. You're better at your job than I am. I know. I get it.
No, I'm not saying that I'm better. Because I look these up usually as the sounder is playing.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't go in advance usually for most of this. So, I've got a few different ones here. And I've got a story about this one, actually. The Titanic, one of the funnels, so there's 4 funnels on the ship.
Yes.
Right? One of them was a fake.
Yes.
And it was put on there because they thought it would make it look bigger.
Yeah.
Because every guy wants to make everything look bigger. Anyway, and so what am I trying to say? Disney has their cruise ships.
Yeah.
And they have 2 funnels on them, right? Mm-hmm. One of the funnels is real, one is not.
I didn't
on
know
all
that
those
about
ships.
Disney.
Yeah, one of those funnels is used to one of the ship that I went on. The funnel was like the kids zone, like the teen club up in it. Mm-hmm. And then now one of the funnels is a 2-story suite. It's their
ooh, that'd be cool.
Master suite is in that funnel.
That'd be really cool.
So, I don't remember what it cost, but I know it's expensive. The Titanic...
First class parlor ticket price.
Yeah. Like high first class.
Yeah.
The Titanic used 825 tons of coal per day, which meant people shoveling that into the fire.
Yeah, there were like almost 900 coalmen, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no. There wouldn't have been that many because there was 900 crew.
Yeah, but I'm sure 100 or more of them were
It's closer to 200.
just working on the fires, on the steam.
Horrible job.
Oh,
that sounds like the worst job ever.
Yeah. It sank the Titanic sank the night after the lifeboat drill was called off.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you have to do a lifeboat drill now. Have you ever been on a cruise?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to do the lifeboat drill now. You take your little...
Just like on an airplane, how they do the... Yeah.
But you take you go to your room, you grab your little life jacket, and you go out to the deck where you're supposed to meet, and then they go over all the...
Does it say why they called it off?
No, it just says they called it off.
Weird.
I don't know where...
I know there was no regulations, like you had to do it, but...
Yeah, so... But, yeah, it's...
That's one of those, like, horribly ironic things.
It was also never...
I don't know if I'm using the word ironic the right way. I'm extremely tired right now.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things like, huh. It's very interesting.
The other one of the other commonly misthought things about this is it was never described as unsinkable. It was described as practically unsinkable. So they knew it was
yeah,
and even and again,
it's possible.
Even in the movie, which the movie it's a drama, it's a movie, but there are historically accurate things in it. I don't remember who plays him, but the guy that designed and built the ship, basically, when they talk about it sinking, like, oh, this can't sink, and he's like, oh no, it can, yes, it's made of iron, it can definitely sink.
Yeah,
and he says that like in the movie. So I don't know if that was thrown into the movie for that reason because it did sink, or if that's what they actually thought. But I know there was a lot of times it gets mislabeled as, oh, it's the unsinkable ship, and it's like, no.
That was like afterwards.
They didn't really ever say it. Yeah, they just said it was practically unsinkable. So
yeah, interesting.
But yeah, I think that is. Do you have anything else? Because I think that's about it for this week. The Titanic. Don't forget to subscribe. Share with all of your insufficient. I almost said insufficient friends. Insufficient friends. That's the name of the podcast.
Do you know the name of our podcast?
I don't know. You said you're tired. I'm kind of tired too.
I know. Yeah.
It's been a long day. So,
New title of the podcast, Dazed and Confused. Anyways, thanks for watching.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Again, like, subscribe, comment, all that shiznit, and then we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.